All right, everybody, we're going to continue our quarterly resource forum with Heather from Mazie's Mission, here to talk about some water safety stuff and some events coming up.
Thank you so much. I'm Heather Broussard, and I'm honored and thankful for this opportunity to share about our organization, and also just grateful for what the Autism Society is to our community and all of the resources that are offered. So very valuable, and for all of us to be able to come together and have more impact. So I'm the founder of Mazie's Mission, and we provide water safety awareness to the Acadiana community. This is our daughter, Mazie. Hopefully you can see that. She was our third child. We have two older boys. Mazie was just 1 week shy of 18 months when she tragically passed away from a drowning at our home. For the last few years, that happened in 2020 in the fall. And the last few years have been challenging, navigating that trauma and the grief. But one thing we knew pretty much right away is that we wanted to share our story in hopes that it could prevent another drowning. We did not want to go into the next summer hearing of something happening in our community to another child if we could have spoken up to possibly provide that awareness and education that we didn't know, to possibly save a life. And that's all we hoped to do. We lost our Mazie at our home. It was just her and I there in the day. Even though she was almost 18 months, she wasn't yet walking. She was in therapy, physical therapy and speech therapy, to work on some of those milestones. She wasn't talking yet. She wasn't walking yet. Like I said, she was crawling. But I realized that she had delays our other children didn't have. And to be honest, I feel like after the fact in my gut that I think she was on the spectrum and she had autism, even though she had not been diagnosed with that. Just seeing a lot of those delays, we didn't really have that engagement with her that we had with our children. And that would have explained her being drawn to the water that day. She and I were inside when it happened. We had a somewhat open floor plan. I was in the kitchen cleaning up after we finished breakfast, getting ready to run an errand with her, and realized it had gotten quiet. She was just in the adjacent room playing. And as soon as I finished cleaning up, I realized I don't hear her, which is unusual because even though she wasn't talking, she was loud and just such a happy girl. And so when I didn't hear her, I just started looking for her, not freaking out, thinking maybe she just crawled into one of our bedrooms. But quickly I realized she's not there. And the only thing I can explain is that I felt like the Holy Spirit led me outside because those doors were locked. She never, attempted to get outside by herself, even though we had a doggy door. We've never seen her trying to go through it or playing with it or anything like that. I just felt like the Holy Spirit prompted me to go outside to look for her. And that's when I found her in our pool. And of course, that's something I've had to wrestle with ever since. It's been very, very traumatic. I've had to undergo lots of PTSD type therapy for that. And after those initial very, very difficult months, like I said, I knew we wanted to share our story and share things that we were either trying to do and it didn't get done, like install a fence around our pool. And that would have helped most likely save her life, as well as swim lessons for her. We had just gone through the pandemic, so it was hard to find a swim lesson instructor to come to our home, and especially for her age. Now we are blessed that we have a certified survival swim instructor here that works with infants to toddlers to teach them how to float and basically self-rescue. And that was something that we have been advocates for from the beginning because we did not have that type of certified instructor at the time. I looked into it for her and our older children, and the closest one was either in Baton Rouge or Lake Charles. And of course, that's not totally feasible when you have to drive every day for 6 weeks to go to those lessons, and that's over an hour away. So we are so blessed to have not only one, but two of those instructors in our community. So there's so many things now that we recommend. We provide this RAT card to different groups in our community. I always share this if I'm asked to speak at an organization, at a school. We also share these with pediatrician offices and other clinicians. And then on the back, we have some drowning tips, and we just like to really go over these and really enforce these any chance we get. And this goes for families of all ages, not just children. Of course, those with special needs, this is very important to consider, but also adults. We've learned that there are many adults that still don't know how to swim, so we just can't recommend really understanding these and enforcing them, especially if you have access to water. And also knowing that even if you don't have access to water, like a pool or you're close to a retention pond, a lot of drownings happen also inside of the home. One thing I didn't really think about before is that a drowning can happen with just 1 inch of water. You would be so surprised to hear about the unfortunate circumstances of it happening with just a little bit of water, either inside or outside of a home. A lot of them happen in the bathtub. And so the biggest thing that we can recommend is just constant supervision. Anytime your child is in or near water, to always have a designated person watching that child. Think about, especially if you're at a pool party or at the beach and you might have numerous adults around, but you can't just assume that somebody's always watching that swimmer because we have distractions. We have other children that need to be tended to. We're on our phones. Sometimes we're drinking. And so the best thing we can do is actually make sure that you have a designated, we call water guardian at all times. In fact, we provide these lanyards to pass out, especially when you have a pool party or you're at the beach, so that way that person who is the designated guardian is wearing this lanyard. They know that they're that designated water guardian, and then you can pass it on. Maybe take shifts of like 15 minutes or however long. So to be sure that you always have that constant supervision with no distractions. We also recommend safety barriers, installing fences around the pool with a latch that's tall enough that a small child can't reach it, and then automatically closes. So definitely the proper fencing. There's a wonderful organization here that we recommend that installs the proper fencing around the pool. They also lost a child to a drowning, so they're very, very passionate about that safety as well. And then making sure locks are properly installed around all exterior doors, that those locks are high enough, again, that those children can't easily reach them. We would recommend a few different locks, not just the doorknob, but an actual latch would be beneficial, and alarms too, especially if you have access to a pool or body of water in your home. Of course, learning swim skills, I mentioned that about the instructor, and to keep enrolling in swim lessons each year so that you're building on the skills that you learn. You need a refresher, just like riding a bike. Sometimes if you go along periods of time without riding, you need a little bit of practice. So the same with swimming. You learn new skills each time, and you just become stronger whenever you take swim lessons each year. And when you're young, you learn new things each time. So that's just great to keep doing each year. We have built relationships with a lot of different certified instructors in the area and are happy to provide recommendations for those based on the age and specific needs for each child. There are some that are specialized to work with children with different abilities and those on the spectrum, so I would be happy to recommend those as well. We suggest wearing bright colored swimwear for pools and going to the beach. You want them to be very noticeable to whoever's watching them, whether it's the parents or another guardian. Think about a color that doesn't blend in with the pool. Something that's bright, like pink or orange, very bright neon colors. You don't want to wear like blues, greens, or anything dark. It's a little bit harder to notice. If you are boating in the pool or at the beach and do need a flotation device, we would only recommend a Coast Guard life vest, one that actually helps you float. Things like puddle jumpers and arm floaties, we don't recommend because they actually put the child in a vertical position, which is also the drowning position. And it just gives them this false sense of security. One thing that we've learned that can happen a lot is if those children are swimming with that type of flotation device, say it's time to get out of the pool, mom takes that off, if mom is doing something else, like say toweling off and drying off another child, that can sometimes the child that has already gotten out of the pool and taken off that flotation device, they might slip back into the water and not really notice, because drowning is silent. It's quiet, not like we've seen on TV with arms flailing and loud noises or anything like that. They slip under the water very, very silently and quickly. It can happen in less than a minute. So if that happens and like the parents are tending to other children or whatever they might be doing, if that child goes back in, especially without a flotation device, of course, a tragedy could happen. So that's another reason why we don't recommend those. And then lastly, just to be prepared for emergencies, to know CPR, to go through the right training each year, get those refresher lessons for CPR, just so that way you know what to do in case of an emergency, and to be prepared, to know to call 911 if something does happen. We just can't recommend that enough. There are so many factors that we weren't prepared for when that happened to us. Like I didn't have recent CPR training. Again, we didn't have the fencing. We didn't have the right swim lessons for Mazie. And so I feel like so many of those layers of protection that we call, if we would have had those in place, then I feel like all of those things would have saved her life. So that's why we want to share them. We just can't recommend that enough. The statistics are not in our favor here in our community or in our statewide. And this we learned right after there had been an increase in drownings for children that year that Mazie passed away. And unfortunately, there's been an increase since then. The trend has been Louisiana has ranked third as far as the number of drownings in the country, ages 0 to 14. And it's been one of the leading causes of death in children 1 to 4, and as far as those with autism, ranking 160 times greater than the general pediatric population, just because there is that natural wondering and being drawn to water. So that's something that we really hope to decrease over the years, and we can only do that with awareness and education. With our organization, it's just me, so I'm a little limited in the work that I can do. We have a board that some people have been wonderful and very supportive and active in doing things for us, but this is not just something that I can do. We can't do it alone, and our goal is to not only raise awareness across our region here in Acadiana, but long-term statewide, because this is something we need. We have bodies of water all around us, all types of retention ponds and access to canals and lakes and rivers. So there is certainly a need for awareness all over. Like I said, drownings can happen inside and outside. But because we have so many bodies of water around us, one thing we've also done is install signage around some of those bodies of water. Like think about all of the neighborhoods that we have here in this area with retention ponds, and especially if there's a walking trail or traffic that tends to be around those ponds, especially at parks. We want to be sure that we have signage there. Not all of those ponds have fencing all the way around. At our local sports complexes, we have a lot of ponds that are near very heavily trafficked areas with walking trails, soccer fields, and different recreational areas that children are often playing. And so the thought behind the signs is that we spark conversation for the parents and whoever's with those children, just to be more aware and to realize that a drowning can happen right there while you're having fun. And we don't want that to happen, of course. So just having that sense of urgency and awareness to always keep your eyes on your children whenever you are at a place that is near water. And so we want to continue adding signs. We've only just getting started here in the Lafayette, Youngsville, Broussard area. We have partnerships with those municipalities. They've been very gracious to us and giving us the approval to put signs around, but we want to extend that in other parishes and communities. So if you think of any, if you live in a neighborhood that has access to water or live in another town where you can think of a park that might have a pond or something like that, or has a pool, please reach out to us. We would be happy to partner with you in those communities to install more signage, but then also just getting our brochures out to as many clinician offices as possible. If you think of your pediatrician, if they would be willing to pass this out to their patients, therapy offices, you name it, schools, we are happy to get these out. But of course, we need help to do that. So we always need volunteers just to be able to distribute these. Again, you can reach out to us. And we do have a presence at different events, including the water safety event that is being held this Saturday at COLA, City of Lafayette Aquatics. That's at the Earl J. Robichaux Center off of Eras Landry here in Lafayette. The event is Saturday, starting at 10 o'clock. They are giving away free swim lessons. And so I would recommend maybe getting there around between 9 and 9:30, just to be able to get in line to have a chance to receive a free swim lesson for your child. They provide the lessons there at their facility, but then stay for the event. There's a lot of fun for the whole family. We do different activities, obviously awareness and education at some of our booths. We have a memorial booth there where we honor children like Mazie and other families who have also experienced the same type of tragedy that we have. And then we do a butterfly release at the end to honor those children. But it's always a lot of fun, very informative. So I would encourage you to come out. We usually need volunteers for that too. I know it's a little late, but if you want to come out and join us for the day, we would love to have you there. We have a presence on social media, Instagram and Facebook, Mazie's Mission Water Safety Awareness. You can find us on those pages, as well as our website, maziesmission.net. Feel free to reach out to us that way. Also by email, heather@maziesmission.net. And so if you think of any ways that you would like to partner with us and maybe help us get the word out to those in your community, we would be honored to work alongside you just to be able to have more awareness. So again, we thank you and just grateful for this opportunity to share what we do here and to be a resource to Acadiana. Thank you.
We have a few questions from the community. You mentioned a fencing company here locally that helps assist installation of proper fencing. Would you mind name dropping them?
Absolutely. So the name of that fence company is Pool Guardian. The owners are Paige and Conley Turner. They're just wonderful people that live here in the community. And I know that they would be happy to help in any way with fencing. They would come out and probably assess and just look at your property, provide a quote to you. They're wonderful to work with.
You mentioned the free swim lessons event this Saturday at the Robichaux Center on Eras Landry Road. Does it require any kind of pre-registration that you know of?
No pre-registration is required. It's basically provided as a first-come, first-served basis. That's why I would recommend getting in line early. And I believe those are offered to children of all ages, probably over the age of 3. I know they don't work with infants, but again, I can recommend instructors for the little ones.
You did mention earlier infant swim survival. Is there a particular school or class here, or is there someone that someone interested could reach out to, or should they just contact you for that information?
Yeah, you're more than welcome to contact me, and I can share some options with you. The first one that comes to mind is the infant swim resource instructors, because they are certified in providing those survival swim classes, and they usually will travel to the person that has a pool. Typically, it will be a host that volunteers to do that if they have a pool, but then if you know of someone that does, they can be that host, and then other people can sign up, and then she just staggers those lessons, usually kind of back to back. If say 5 to 10 others want to provide lessons, it is private. It's always one-on-one, and they start at 6 months of age. But I know of a few others too, but that would be the first one I would recommend.
You also mentioned life jackets and to not put the puddle jumpers on. What is the recommended type of water survival gear as far as life jackets?
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time?
Oh, for life jackets, you had mentioned not using puddle jumpers.
Yes.
What would you recommend instead?
Oh, so an actual U.S. Coast Guard approved life vest. There will be like a logo or a seal inside that says that. And of course, they make them in different sizes based on the age. You can usually find them at most stores like Academy and Walmart. So those are best, especially if, you're on a boat, if you're at the beach and that kind of thing.
As we all know, this area has a lot of water. Bayous, rivers, canals. What are some recommendations that you can give for people who live near the water or have a bayou in their backyard, whether or not they have children with different abilities or not?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is to have conversations at home as a family often, especially if you know for sure you're going to be outside near those waters, whether it's, an afternoon of fun or whatever you're doing. I would say just to have those conversations to make sure the children really know and hopefully understand that they are to have a parent with them at all times, somebody that is a swimmer that could be the one to rescue if something were to happen, but just that they have eyes on them at all times. So the children know to never be near the water alone. And just try to stress that as much as possible. I think that's the biggest thing. And for the parents to realize that, that constant supervision is necessary when you are outside with your children near water, that to very much so limit distractions, because drownings can happen quickly, like I said, in less than a minute. So to just have those conversations early, be prepared as possible, be sure that you won't have any other distractions, being on your phone or whatever the case may be whenever you're outside with them. And then to be prepared if possible, if you have a life vest handy that they could wear, if they're going to go swimming or if they're going to be playing near the water, that's always helpful too.
You mentioned CPR. Do you know if someone wanted to learn CPR, where could they look for that here locally?
Absolutely. Sometimes the hospitals will offer courses, but it's kind of sporadic. So that's something that I wouldn't wait for. That's something that can be searched. And depending on what community you live in, there might be different options at your hospital. So that might be a place to start, just searching online to see if they have any that are listed. But there are several, we are blessed that there are several CPR instructors here in our community that will travel to you. I think one thing that would be great is to gather some of your family, some of your friends, if you have babysitters that you trust often to provide care to your little ones, to be sure that they are constantly up to date on their CPR certification and have that instructor, which I would be happy to share some of those with you if you want to reach out to me. Come and do like a group lesson to you and some others. It's a little bit harder for, I think, those that are mobile, to go and do a lesson for one or two people. But if you have a group together, you're just going to be able to have that many people more learn and get certified. And so that's good to organize. And I think she will come to your home. And I say she because I think all the instructors I know are female. They'll come to your home. They'll come to your workplace. I know they do that a lot. The American Heart Association used to, but I'm not sure if they still do. But it's great to get a group together and to organize that. But I could certainly recommend instructors in the area.
And you mentioned getting Mazie's mission signs up in and around the Acadiana community to alert the community on just water safety and awareness. Let us know again how someone can reach out to you to get a sign put at either their local pond, near a bayou, water at a park, or anything like that. Yeah, so that is one of the easiest things that we can do and always much needed because we have so many of those waterways around us. So you can reach out to me at heather@maziesmission.net. That's MAZIES mission.net. And we do the installing. We get the stakes and the signs printed. We have partnerships with some of the sign companies here that will often graciously donate the actual sign for us, and we'll work out all the specifics. If it's an HOA, sometimes they have specific requests, different sizes and the way the sign looks. But typically we have a little bit of free range, which is great because
The idea is that the sign is very noticeable. So we like it to be in color. We like it to be large so that it stands out. But just reach out to us and we can work together to get those installed. And the sooner the better. Thank you.